Hello and welcome to episode 284 of the Health Oddity podcast. Now, if you are listening on or near to the day of release, it's the 6th of February. So this is our first podcast of February 2026. And it is with myself and Pete today. And we have got a few things that we're going to talk about. I mean, we did have I really enjoyed the podcast last week that we did with William Person around. I mean, first of all, it was fascinating hearing all about the actual what it feels like being in a bobsled and being at that kind of level of world championships and traveling around the world doing it for a decade. And then also obviously the CTE and the concussions and the brain injuries and the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I mean, I don't know about you, Pete, but I just found that was a really interesting conversation. That I feel we were pretty privileged to have actually.
Absolutely. I felt it was I think I said it after we stopped recording, didn't it? It was one of those episodes. Like every now and then we do an episode that we just need to get around to as many people as possible and get shared and all of that. And that was one of them. It was amazing. What I didn't appreciate, we had a little conversation with him before we started recording. And I didn't appreciate, like, obviously he's got a brain injury, but we were chatting away and everything was all right. But it was when we started asking questions and stuff. And then he was like, you have to ask one at a time, and he'd forget what. And I did the thing with Ghostbusters, and I took him away from what he was talking about, and I didn't really think about it. It went in my head like that. And he answered a different question, but then he came back to it afterwards because you prompted him to. But it was just quite interesting. I didn't really. He was obviously having a good, because he said he has good days and bad days, But you couldn't really tell. But he was really good at explaining it as well. He's like, I've forgotten the question, or you've asked me too many questions there, and it was just really gentle. It was brilliant.
And I went to the dinner last night and met with Darren, just briefly had a chat with Darren, who is Theo's dad, who are the guys who run the Ultra Wellness Clinic. And I kind of mentioned, because it was the person who got in touch with us for Will did so because of the podcast that we'd done with Theo talking about the hyperbaric chamber. So it's really funny how things work, and obviously Will was out in Los Angeles. So I kind of said to Darren that I'll maybe put them in touch and see, make a connection there, which is great. But I said to Darren, I said that, yeah, he was talking about getting one that you can sit like 5 people in at a time.
Yeah.
And then Darren said, yeah, the model they've got, you can have it for one person, or you can get it for two, or for four, or they do, like you say, like whole rooms that just basically you could just put loads of people in at once. And it's
Well, I think
fascinating, really.
Will said that you could get the one he was looking at was 6 people, wasn't it?
5 or 6, yeah, I
Five
think
or
so.
six, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you could
yeah.
even do therapy sessions in there and stuff, couldn't you? You know what I mean? Like your brain is healing while it's also healing. Like mindset.
Yeah, I
Like
kind of thought, because it made me think of, when people go and sit in a sauna together, and you sit in a sauna and you kind of
that's
can have
very
a
different.
I know it's very different, but the reason I'm saying it is because of the act of sitting in that room together when you're in there and just talking, like you say, just
Yeah.
having a chat. From that perspective, so you could get everyone sat in that room, like you say, and just talk, and ties in, I suppose, with the Andy's Man Club stuff that we spoke about with Mark Tonner and everything else.
We didn't mention it on. I mean, because the podcast was going the way it was, but we didn't mention it on that. But it made me think of Mark as well because of the whole suicide prevention and all of that sort of stuff,
Yeah,
and the veterans and everything. And
yeah.
Mark's obviously had his own struggles with that and everything. So it just made me like the amount of people who we've spoken to who this would benefit them and pretty much everyone in their it's like kind of social circle, I suppose, or their sphere of people who they know who've gone through all of these things. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
one of
it's
those
it's
episodes.
no, it's fantastic. No, really, really good, really good. So, yeah, we've got a guest next week. We're on with Krista Biegler next week, who is a registered and award-winning sort of dietitian and nutritionist, and her company is called Less Stressed Life Nutrition. So that will be nice talking to her next week. And like we say, this week. We're just talking about a few things you mentioned actually just before we we came on. You would you want to say?
Yeah, James, you've gone viral again. Honestly,
Again.
brilliant. It's yeah. I was so for context, James put a post up, just with someone jumping on a box, and it was we can say names and stuff, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's Wendy and
well,
Dave.
because
Yeah.
more people have seen that than will listen to this podcast. So anyway, but it just said Wendy is 70 and Wendy's doing a box jump. She's jumping onto a box and then stepping down, isn't she? And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, another one of James's posts. And then I saw that there was a comment which was like, should women of this age be doing that or whatever? Or I don't know. So I went into the comments. I was like, go on, I'll have a look. I got sucked in. And it was just like, there was comment. We were talking about the different types of people. Some people were saying it was great. Some people were saying you shouldn't be doing that. Some people were saying, people that age shouldn't be doing it. So the trainer's probably young and getting them to do it because they think they can. Other people were saying I couldn't do that because of everything, like what's happened to me. Other people were saying it was great. It was just interesting to see all the different kind of ways people look at the same video. Someone said it was patronizing because you've put Wendy as 70 and she's jumping on a box. So that's patronizing. Why shouldn't she be able to do that? And it's like, it doesn't say that. It just says Wendy is 70 and she's jumping on a box.
Yeah.
And there was some just outright nasty comments.
Yeah.
About the individual, like who they don't even know.
It's mad, isn't it? I had this like last year. I did one. It's still the most popular in terms of views video that I've ever done. But I've had this happen about 3 times now, where I do something and then where I'm just going to get it up while I'm talking here, where I do something and it just kind of, and I don't know if there's there is definitely like the algorithm gets hold of it and then it just develops a world, like a life of its own. But the first one that I did like this was last year, and it was with a friend of the show, Edith.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a simple, she was getting down onto the floor and getting back up again. And that had 3 million views. Now, I put them on Instagram and then they go on to Facebook as a reel. And Facebook is where it just seems to, I don't know if it's because that's the age of the people that I'm dealing with more go, but Facebook just takes off and they don't really take off on Instagram. But that one from Edith had 3 million views, 38.7 thousand likes, 2,000 comments, and obviously like hundreds or thousands of shares. And then I did another one, but this is, I'm going to go somewhere with this because and then I did another one which was with Dave Roscoe, who was in this video as well, which had 1.7 million views and 12.7 thousand likes, 604 comments. Now this one that I've done, which has only been up for a few days, the most recent one at the moment as we're recording has 1.9 million views, 8.1 thousand likes, 412 comments and whatnot. Now the reason I say is because there's 2 people in the video. There's Wendy, who is 70, and there's Dave, who is 75. And this is just this kind of, I don't.
How long is the video, by the way?
Oh, and the videos are really short. They're like,
it's like 20 seconds.
Usually like 20 seconds or less. Yeah. So, but they're usually showing something very, very simple. Like one of them is, like I say, Edith getting down onto the floor and getting back up with her hands behind her head. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember that one. Yeah.
So she's getting down. And the one of Dave is stepping down and going down into a sort of stepping back into a lunge and then sitting down and coming back up to standing without using his hands. And then the one that we're talking about is just Wendy's jumping onto like a 12-inch box, a soft plyometric box, and Dave is jumping onto a 20-inch one. Now, the thing I don't like, people talk about, I don't want to get too serious, but like kind of like misogyny and the patriarchy and sexism and all this. But I really see on Facebook, it's really toxic towards the women that I've put on there. Like Edith, there was some lovely, like you said, there's some lovely comments.
The one with Edith on, I felt like I don't know how do I feel about this, because it's obviously a person in your gym. Nobody
Yeah.
knows who they are.
Yeah,
They're an obscure person. They don't want to be all over this sort of stuff.
yeah,
But then some of the comments are really nasty, like really
yeah,
nasty.
yeah. And
Like
they're
you
just
would not say that
no, you
in
wouldn't say
real
it to
world.
anyone. But the thing is that the ones with Dave, no one has written like nasty personal comments on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
fair
the
enough, yeah.
video that's just come out with Wendy and Dave, no one's written any nasty comments around Dave. But
No,
they've said like to Wendy looks like 90 years old or looks far. This
which
is
she
just
doesn't.
she doesn't. She's 70 years old and she's jumping. It's
Yeah.
just there's just a nastiness around. And I was sitting at this dinner yesterday. I know this is kind of off topic and it's not really,
No,
you know,
it's no. You're saying about it being serious and everything. I find it. You're right. I find it interesting.
mm.
Like yeah. Carry
Yeah,
on.
because I was
Sorry.
sitting next to a guy yesterday at the dinner who runs a marketing agency, and I know him quite well, and we were chatting, and I sort of said, "Oh, I've got this video that I put on," and I said, "If I knew what could bottle that formula, because it as well, like in the last sort of 24 hours, we've probably gained about 1,000 followers to our Facebook page." But the problem is that a lot of them are like in America and they're not gonna. I did have a lady message me from Florida yesterday and say, "Oh," she goes, "I was getting really excited, and but then I saw you were in the UK." She said, "Oh, if only you could come to Florida because there's a massive retirement community here, which
Yeah.
would be amazing." And I kind of said, "Oh, well, I'm sure Florida's much better this time of year than England, But thank you so much for messaging me and whatnot." And like you say, someone else said, "Oh, it's a shame you're not nearer me and stuff," which is great. So you get some really nice stuff. But I said to him, I said, the problem is the things that really go viral, and it from just the stuff you see, it's where there's like a conflict, or it's where there's like strong opposing views, and it's where, like you say, some people were like, "Oh, that's fantastic, good on you. I wish I could do that." Other people just kind of said, "Well, I can't do that, and here's a list of reasons why I can't." One person wrote on there, "Oh, if she's got arthritis, that's not good for her knees." And then I think
Has she?
no, and I just
Exactly.
responded,
Well, there you
I
go.
just responded because I just ended up having a bit of fun with it. I just sent one back and I said something like, "Well done, Sherlock," or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
just think people are just putting stupid things on there. And one person said, "Oh, they should jump down as well because that's where all the benefit is in bone density," and they quoted this doctor, and then I said, "Well, thank you for sharing your opinion." I said, "I've been doing this for 27 years and I've actually seen a number of people injure themselves jumping down. So I get people to jump up and step back, and that's what I've been taught, and that's what I find is safer." And then they come back at me, what did they say? "Read the research. It's much better to jump down." And then I nearly did an explanation, like, because Dan John sort of says, you got to weigh up, obviously, the risk and the reward. What's the
Yep.
potential reward from jumping down? Oh, you might get a bit of extra, bone density. What's the potential risk from jumping down? You might rupture your Achilles or twist your ankle or hurt your knee and you'll be out. So, but I just in the end just said, "Oh, thank you for sharing your vast experience." I don't know who they are.
It's not. That's the thing. You don't know who it is, and no, it's not going to resolve anything. So
No.
And also, this person has seen like a 20-second video of Wendy jumping on a box. Wendy's 70 years old. That's all you know. You
Yeah.
don't know her medical history. You don't know anything. You don't know what she's like. She could have been some like an Olympic high jumper or something like that who's got amazing legs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
So
you just don't know.
it's mad, isn't it? So in the end, I kind of like most of the comments. The ones that are positive, I kind of put a heart next to.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'll just write a quick response to some of them. Everyone who shared it, I sort of just thank them for sharing it, But some of them that are just bizarre or nasty, I just put a laugh next to it, because you just think
there's another element to it, right? And I'll get into why this matters for health in a minute. What we're talking about, by the way, because we're the Healthology podcast. This is just I just find it interesting. But there was another type of comment where people are like, "Oh, great, she can jump on a box. Anyone can do that," and it's like, but some people are saying she shouldn't be doing that, and other people are saying, it's patronizing to say she can do that because she's 70. And other people are saying, well, I can't do that and I'm 40 or whatever. So it's like everyone's different. And this is the thing. And then you end up arguing with people online who you don't know and who are probably like not even who they say they are anyway, or a bot or whatever, who knows? And this is where health comes in, because you end up getting stressed about it. Not you, I'm talking about just in general.
Yeah, you can do, yeah.
Stressed about it and tired and losing sleep and wondering what's wrong with them and all that. And it's like, don't worry about it. Just worry about it. Like, nobody's worried about you. It's the Dick Van Dyke thing, isn't it? Or people like whatever people say about when you're in your 20s, you're worried about what everyone thinks about you, blah, blah, blah. And then basically you get to your however old 60s or whatever, and you realize no one's thinking about you because they're thinking about themselves. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. So so
Wendy's fine. She can jump on a box and get down at 70 years old. If I can do that at 70 years old, I'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not anything that I, like I say, I just take it with, but I do just laugh. I laugh at most of them and think, what, you know.
Put it this way, right? You've seen it and I've seen it. So you've got a gym and you see lots of people who, there was a lady once who you had getting up and down off the floor with a bench.
Leslie,
right,
yeah.
And that was another one of the videos, right?
Yeah.
And that was great because she obviously looked like, I'm judging here, but she looked like, she might have been a little bit overweight and, struggled with mobility and stuff like that. So getting up and down off the floor was tricky for her. I think she was in her 60s or something, or maybe in her 70s.
Yeah.
So you had her using a
bench.
A bench.
Yeah.
Great. Right. Wendy could probably do that, like with one arm behind her back and all that sort of stuff. Right. So, and she was maybe older. I don't know.
Yeah.
So some people can do it, some people can't, but she's going to get benefit from that. Right. So you've seen people that like from one extreme to the other sort of thing.
Yeah.
All different ages. And I have as well with training people, but also with the walking group, you get people who come along who will walk 5 miles, walk up and down a bit of a hill, but struggle on the hills. People in their 40s will struggle on the hills because they're just out of breath, overweight, tired, achy, whatever it is, whatever the problem is. And then other people, so the reason why I'm telling you this is because it just the weekend just gone, it was the walk Sean was on, and there's a lady called Ali who comes along who's 75 years old, right? But she does like salsa dancing and like she does everything, right? But she comes along on the walks as well. I basically met her in a field once while she was out with her mate walking the dog. Got chatting to her, told her about the group. She came along. Didn't know how old she was. None of that. She just turned up. So at the weekend, there was a style. Some people struggle to get over styles, right? Because like you get kissing gates and all that these days, don't you? And like styles are still around, but there's not that many of them anymore. But people struggle to get over those. So there was people going over, and it obviously slows the group down. So Ali, the 75-year-old lady, there's a gate next to the style. She just vaulted the gate. Right. And people, there's pictures of her doing it in the group. And so people were like, a couple of guys saw that and they were like, all right, okay, I'm going to go and do that then as well. So they just jumped the gate basically. But yeah, it was like 75 years old and she just like got over and went, way like that and shook her legs over and landed on the other side and was like, right, come on. So, but nobody's saying if you're younger than her, if 30 years younger than her even, and you can't do that, you're a bad person. It's like, it just is what it is, isn't it? Some people let themselves go. Some people, we say, what does it look like in 20 years time? Some people don't think like that until a certain time. And then they go, actually, I need to think like that now. Or some people never think like that. So it's just, people are different.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's fascinating. Human nature, isn't it? But I do find that, well, it's difficult because you can't really say social media brings out the worst in people, because there are, there's probably a fairly even split of nice comments, nasty comments, and then just kind of strange comments.
Pointless comments.
People just like using it because they see it and they feel, they probably see it and feel like not very good because they can't do it. So then they feel they have to write a justification as to why they can't do it, even though no one knows who they are. No one knows who I am. It's strange.
The way I look at it as well is the comment isn't about Wendy. It's about the person.
Oh, it's about the person, isn't it?
So
100%.
It doesn't matter. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Excellent. Anyway, yeah. So another thing that's going on, we just prior to coming on to record this, this is interesting actually because 2 weeks ago, we had an episode come out which was about the five kind of big rocks of health and fitness for 2026 and every year. They were just kind of the big principles which we recorded a podcast on, and we just started. So Shane Nugent from Quantum Nutrition, who's been on the podcast, has just started working with us at Unique Results and the members for the next 12 months, all on kind of nutrition, education, and support, and accountability, and coaching, and all of that kind of stuff. So we're kicking off next week with a kind of a 7-day challenge, which I thought was really nice because it really ties into the rocks that we talked about. So it's just as a way for him to kind of get involved in the group and to introduce him to the group. And he just did a Zoom workshop. So it's just 3 sort of habits to try and commit to next week, starting on the Monday, which is to walk a minimum of 8,000 steps a day, which is kind of check for Pete and for our rocks, to eat a minimum of sort of 6 portions of fruit and vegetables per day, again, which is a tick because we had that kind of nutrition element within our big rocks as well. And then the third one was to drink 2 liters of water a day, basically for the 7 days. So again, tick. So just really, really simple. And I've been talking to the members recently because I think I mentioned to you, I don't track my steps on anything other than my phone. But I realized that, well, I looked and it gives you your total average number of steps for last year. And my average number of steps per day for 2025 was 9,551. And then I'd kind of said this year, at the end of the year, I want my average to be 10,000 plus. And at the moment, so far, we're only, was it today as we record, like mid-January
15th,
really.
15th,
My average steps so far are 9,952 for the year so far. So kind of getting that up there. So that ties in obviously with the big rocks and with this challenge that we're doing. But I just thought that was quite nice. It's quite a nice again, it's simple. It's things that people can do. Not overcomplicating things for the sake of overcomplicating them, but very down to earth for real people, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, did we speak about this last time as well? It's like, there's 12 months in a year. So trying to overhaul everything in January but what was his name? Not Ted Nugent, Shane. I think you think Ted Nugent, he's a rock star, isn't he? Big guitar player. Anyway, he said that on his episode, didn't he? It's like you do the easy stuff first, or the simple stuff first, because it's not necessarily easy, because it's mostly about psychology behind it rather than the actual thing. Because if you've been doing something forever, it's hard to change. So therefore, just change something, change a couple of the big rocks, like we said, and then you start worrying about all the small stuff later on, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, have you heard of this? This is another thing. Shane posted it. Yes, yeah, I did a little video for my members. Have you heard of like 75 hard?
Yes, I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it. And
I think it. Yeah, again, I think it started in America, but it's kind of like this idea that you do something hard for 75 consecutive days, and it kind of toughens you up, changes you, transforms you. But it's kind of along the lines of, I've got to look into it myself because I hear more and more people talking about it. But it's more along the lines of the kind of David Goggins type, thinking of, becoming like hard and becoming a badass and, really kind of doing something tough for 75 days. And Shane sort of put down, but it could be, I suppose it could be, getting in the ice tub for 75 consecutive days. But the important thing is it's 75 consecutive days. And what Shane sort of put was controversial. He wrote something like controversial. He goes, 365 moderate is better than 75 hard,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I commented and said, I said, one of our training principles at the gym, which is up on the wall, which I think was from Dan John anyway, is consistency beats intensity. And that's
Yeah.
basically the same, and it's what we say all the time on here, isn't it? That is basically summed up as that, I think.
You see, this goes with the big rocks, I think, of because people talk about get out of your comfort zone because nothing grows there, or like, I mean, God, there's so many memes in that
Mm.
like all of this stuff, right?
Mm.
So it brings that brings me to comfort zone expansion training with Paul. But people say like, well, if you do stuff within your comfort zone, then you like nothing grows there, so you need to get out of your comfort zone and all of
Mm.
that. But for some people, their comfort zone is like this big. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
tiny. So getting out of it, right, just means getting up in the morning, or think of
Mm.
someone who's got like chronic fatigue or something like that. Like getting their comfort zone is very, very small.
Mm.
So doing something hard for them could be getting out of bed in the morning. It could, whatever. Like drinking 2 liters of water a day could be hard for someone. So there's a thing. It's a guy, a friend of, well, I say a friend of mine. I don't see him much, but someone who I've known for years. A guy called Simon who says choose your hard
Mm.
because some people choose easy hard. So yeah, I do hard stuff, but they choose the easy hard stuff rather than the hard stuff. But it depends where you're at. It's like saying I'm going to eat really well, like super well. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to take all my supplements, and I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week on day one. That's
Mm.
choosing something where it's so far out of your comfort zone, you've got no chance. Some
Mm.
people can do that. Some people can Goggins it, right? And they will. But that's
Mm.
like, again, that's like this much of the population, a tiny amount, isn't it? So for me, it's like I'd say start within comfort, but go towards the edge of your comfort zone, a bit like the comfort zone expansion thing, because it's like beginner's gains as well. There's that involved in it as well, isn't there? So then that would grow, and then you just start to like do something slightly outside of it, so cold showers, whatever it is, walking a bit further, jogging, whatever it is, lifting like a slightly heavier weight, like all of those sorts of things.
Mm.
And then once you've done that for like a year, then you can start to go, right, I'm gonna set a target of a half marathon or a strongman. You did this with strongman. I saw a video about you earlier, actually, that Paul had shared.
Oh, okay.
You started out just getting stronger, didn't you?
Mm.
And like with Paul, after whatever you said, 10 years of plateauing,
Yeah.
you started getting stronger, and then you started to do the strongman competition. You didn't go to Paul and say, I want to do strongman competitions, make me stronger. You were like, I want to get stronger. And then as you did, you were like, right. So the next thing out, like slightly outside of your comfort zone, and the hard thing was to go and do that, wasn't it? So,
Mm.
but you did the basics first.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've just started this week as well, literally not today. So yesterday and the day before, I've gone out and just started to do a bit of running again. Now,
Mm.
I think when we had Sam, it's not Sam Pop, but Sam Pop running, but Samuel Stowes, was it? From Australia.
Yes.
Sam. I went out a couple of times after that, and then I talked about it on the podcast. I was a lot heavier. I'd not ran for a long time. And I had a couple of like niggly injuries that happened. I tweaked my kind of Achilles on my right, and I had like a bit of sort of plantar fasciitis on my left, not at the same time, but kind of within a little bit of time. So I never really built any momentum up because I'd kind of do a few sessions, then something would happen. Do a few sessions, something would happen. So I went out this time 2 days ago, and it's chucking it down with rain. I hadn't realised, but I got dressed and I went outside and I realised it was raining, and I thought, well, I'm changed now. I've got to go and do it. So all I did was I went to the fields. I walked to the fields around the back of my house, which is about maybe a 6 or a 7 minute walk, just as a kind of warm up. And there's a big sort of field that's probably got a couple of football pitches on it. So I just ran, I mean, very slow jogged one length, the length, which is maybe around 130-ish meters, turned and then walked around, say, 60, 70 meters, and then turned again and ran, jogged 130 and so on. And I did that a few times. And then I gradually kind of put in a few little slightly faster runs, little fartlek type things where I'm just for 10 strides, I open my stride up a little bit. And then I kind of thought, right, okay, that's enough. And I just came back and I didn't do too much. I kind of kept it because I thought, even though it felt okay, I thought I don't want to do too much today because I don't want to hurt myself and I want to be able to do it again tomorrow, you know. And then yesterday I took Bella, my daughter, out, who's 9. Well, I said it's quite good. I said I'm going to go. She's watching a lot of like wrestling now, like WWE wrestling on Netflix. She loves it, and I watch it with her because I used to love it as a kid. And she said, "Oh, can we watch some wrestling?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm just about to go out for a run." She goes, "Oh, can I come with you? Can I come with you?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." So we both got changed. So we went out. We went over to the field, and then we did similar yesterday. Again, just really. I mean, it's like I say, it's probably a 6 or 7 minute walk round there, and then I must be on that field for no more than 20 minutes at the most, you know, and then a 6 or 7 minute walk home. But it was really funny because she's 9. She weighs about how many I think she's probably less than 30 kilos, you know, what she weighs. And we were jogging and then I was saying go, and then we'd have to run sort of fast just for a bit, and then I go and jog. And then we'd sort of so we'd jog, go fast, jog, and then we'd walk for a bit. And she's so much faster than me. And I just couldn't move. She's just gone, you know. But it was great, you know. So that's again that kind of the reason I say that is that that kind of reminds me of what you were talking about. That again, it's all the comfort zone expansion thing. It's not going so hard that I'm gonna injure myself or ache too much that I can't do it again. Do you know what I mean? It's just starting just to try and put together 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions, so I start to feel better, you know,
Yeah.
with it. Because I've signed up for one of these nuclear fit things, you know, this year, which is sort of like an outdoor. It's not an obstacle course race, but it's 6 1K runs with sort of like exercises in between out on a field. So it's not a high rocks because it's all outdoors in fields. But it's kind of yeah, you got tire flipping and carrying things and stuff like that. So. And a shout out to Steve Bush because we mentioned him a couple of weeks ago. I think we
Yep.
said he was going out to Orlando to do the Disney Marathon. He actually did the Disney Marathon, and he stopped. He said he said I think it took him about 5 hours 45 to do it. But he said 20 minutes. He was queued up for the I think it's the Everest roller coaster in Animal Kingdom or something, because he said it was the only chance he was ever going to get to do a roller coaster halfway through like a run. So they started obviously at 5. I mean, we're going to get him to come on the podcast and give us an update on everything again. But he started at 5 a.m. in the dark. Obviously, all the parks are shut, and he did the whole thing. And like I say, this one ride was, or probably a couple of rides were open, and people who were doing the marathon could you know jump on and do a ride and then carry on. So that's quite incredible, isn't it? I think.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I know, I know. But he's got some lovely photos, you know. So that was good.
Excellent.
So yeah, I mean, no, I think it's yeah. So that running is good. I mean, I don't really. I do think. I mean, you're fit. You do so much walking. You know, you're strong. I would, you know, I just feel that it's important. And again, not to say everybody, but I think that being able to run is kind of like a natural human fundamental movement that I think if most people should be able to do it. And I'm not talking about running a marathon or running a 10K. I just mean if there's some danger and I need to run away from it, I can run away from it. Or if I need to pick up my child and run to get them out of danger, I just want to be able to do that, you know,
Yep.
as a human being and as a dad. And I was at the stage where I didn't. I mean, I didn't feel like you know I'd lost that kind of athleticism, that ability, just to because I hadn't done it for so long.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to be able to run a bit. You know, I'm not saying I'm going to go mad again. I'm not. I don't. I did lots of marathons in the past. I'm not got any desire to go back to that. But you know, to be able to run kind of confidently and
Well,
you know,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
you're hitting on something funny there as well because there's certain things like we talk about like people talk about strength standards and they're all different. Or you should be able to do
Mm,
double body weight deadlift and all that, and that's like fair enough. But you know, there's certain things like everyone should be able to run. Everyone should be able to walk. You know, the way I look at it is we do 5 mile walks with the group, five-ish miles, right? Sometimes slightly more, sometimes 3.5, whatever. And then we're going to do long walks with the people who can and stuff. But everybody should be able to get up on a Saturday morning and go and do a 5 mile walk, right? But that becomes a controversial statement these days, doesn't it? Because, well, I can't, because like we were talking about earlier, it's like, yes, but all things being equal, everyone should be able to. Like everyone.
Unless you are disabled, you know, you have to almost caveat everything, don't you? And say,
but without having to caveat all that's taken care of, everyone should be able to. Because there's a lot of people in their 40s, for instance, who can't, who should be able to, in my opinion. So, and I'm not saying they're bad people if they can't and all that, but it's like, well, do something. If you can't and you should be able to, then, you know, do something about it. That's the thing, right? And then you get things like, so the caveats will be things like arthritis and all that. I've got arthritic big toes, which I found out like last year, right? And I still go out and do it. So, because I know if I don't, they'll get worse.
It gets worse,
You know, there was a guy who came along on the walk for the first time 2 weeks ago, who's 65, I think. And he had a full heart transplant 3 or 4 years ago. He's got a 36-year-old bloke from Southampton's heart, right? And he came on the walk, and it was the furthest he's walked since he had his heart transplant, right? So obviously we made sure he was all right all the way around and stuff like that. But he's been again since, and he's coming again this weekend. So if he can do it, I mean, you know, it's like it's. And then actually we had our oldest guy join us just before Christmas, and he was 85, and he had a quadruple bypass like 6 years ago or something.
Wow.
You know, and we did Salisbury Hill with him, which we did with you, right? And he was
did he do that 85?
He did, yeah. He was very slow, but he did it. And it was freezing cold on the day as well. But he was he was just like, yeah, you know, you just do it. And his wife was at home. She's got dementia. You know, but this is like, so he wanted to come along and all that because it's a bit of respite for him and all this sort of stuff. So anybody should be able to do it, right? That's what I'm saying. If you can't, instead of kind of like, you know, people can get to the point where I can't, and here's why. It's like, think of why you can, and then go and do it. So
it's as well about the, you know, like if people fall on the floor, I want them to be able to get up, you know. And you know, again, take all the caveats away, but if you fall over, you should be able to get yourself back up, you know, to it, you know, for 99% of people, you know. And this is the thing where, and if you can't, it's okay if you can't, but you can work.
It's better if you can.
But no, what I was going to say, if you can't, because some people say, well, I can't do that. And then there's a big, long justification as to why they can't. But if they can't, and there's nothing physically, you know, stopping them being able to do it with work and with training and with maybe, you know, losing a little bit of weight, improving mobility, getting stronger, it could become, that could be the goal. The goal could be, you know, it doesn't have to be running a sub 30-minute 5K. It could be, well, at the moment, if I fall over, I can't get up, you know, without help.
What's out of your comfort zone? Getting on the floor and back up again.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that and get myself able to do it, you know. I think is a really, really worthy goal for lots of people, you know, who are maybe in their 70s, their 80s, their 90s, you know.
I had an insight into that this morning, a little panic, because I'm doing Bulgarian split squats at the minute, right?
Yeah.
Obviously at home. So I've got one of those steps from IKEA that everyone's got, right? That you just bolt together, and it's like a little step. It's got 2 steps. It's like it's got a thing on it and then a step up to it, right?
Okay.
So I use that. But I have to put it on a bit of carpet because I've got a wooden floor. The wooden floor isn't level. So I've got a little bit of carpet that I put it on. Then I have to put a kettlebell behind it to stop it wobbling and all this sort of stuff. Right? And because it's wooden, I've got to put my socks and a slipper on because it hurts the top of my foot that's resting on it. Right? It's a bit precarious, right?
Yeah.
And I had 2 16 bells in the rack position, and I went down into the first squat, and my foot wasn't quite on the step properly.
Yeah.
So my knee just went onto the floor and I knelt down. So I was in a half kneeling position with two bells here that I
Yeah.
can't put down because it's a wooden floor. So I had
Yeah.
to figure a way to get up. And I managed with one slipper on and a sock.
Yeah.
And I managed to do it. What I didn't panic, but I got to the bottom. Like when I was sitting there, I was like, I've got to get out of this now.
Mm.
I just have to figure it out. And I managed to do it. But that's one of those things, you know, you end up in positions that you don't expect. Because I've
Mm.
been doing this for a few weeks now, and this is the first time that's happened, and I just had a bit of a lapse of concentration or whatever.
Mm.
But that could be the difference between lying on the, you know, I could have been lying there till
Mm.
Sean gets home.
Yeah.
So that you know, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's yeah, it's, and I think the thing is that, but you know, looping back round to the you know the video we talked about at the start, where you've got all these people making kind of, you know, not all these, some people making nasty comments and saying, well, you should be able to do, you got to be able to do, you know, it's kind of, it doesn't matter where you're at or where you're starting from. If you are in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, you can improve, you know.
Yeah,
And this is the thing, it's kind of, um you know, you can improve things, and it's just hopefully doing the simple things that we talk about every single week on here, um with the steps, you know, with the food, with the nutrition, with the sleep, with, you know, the mobility stuff, with everything that we talk about. Everyone can get better, and it doesn't actually take a, and in many ways, the worst state you're in now, that there's a lot of low hanging fruit there. It doesn't take a lot to actually start to feel a lot better just by doing small amounts, you know. So
yeah.
it's yeah.
Well, it's like you were saying, and I mean, I don't know if it's a human nature thing or whatever, but a lot of people, it's the way a lot of people go of like, well, here's a list of reasons why I can't do that,
Mm,
whatever that is. And you like you said a minute ago, but it's like, okay, so what can you do?
mm,
And let's start that's where you don't start with where you what you can't do, you start with what you can do, and then it's like,
mm,
right, so here's all the things you can do, and then how do we progress those,
mm,
you know?
yeah.
So I can't, if I'm lying on the floor, I can't get back up onto my feet. Okay, what can you do? Well, I can sit up. Right, perfect. That's a better
Mm,
position to be in, because then you can shuffle your way and sit against a wall or something, right? Okay,
yeah,
we'll start from there, and then you can start to try and get up onto your feet. You know what I mean? So it's like everything has a progression, doesn't it?
exactly. No, that's good. Well, that's good. That's an interesting conversation there. We covered quite a lot actually in the end. We covered, you know, we went quite deep with the video thing and the human nature, you know,
Yeah.
around
I've got
that.
I've got one more thing. That's since you mentioned Achilles injury,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know that program on Channel 4, the SAS thing where they
I've
do.
never watched it, but I'm aware of it. Yeah.
We've watched them all, right? I watched the first few series and it was like a bit different and all that, but it's all the same stuff now. But Sean loves it, so she just watches it, right?
Mm.
But Graham, they've got a celebrity one, Australians against British people, right? And they've got like basically everyone on the Australian side. There's an Olympic swimmer, I think, and a cricketer, and then everyone else was in Home and Away Neighbours.
Okay.
But they've got on this side, there's like a couple of uh like reality TV stars and stuff like that. But they've got Graham Swan, right? Who's like ex-cricketer,
Mm.
who goes on about how old he is, right? These days, he's 46. I'm like, oh. But anyway, but he came out, so he damaged his like the nerves in his hand or something like that during his career, which was what ultimately ended his career. So he gets pins and needles and stuff. And they were having to do a thing where they were carrying a stretcher with a casualty on, and it was like, you know, it was difficult for him. And they were doing the little sound bites where they were talking away to them, and he said, "Oh, I think my upper body strength is going to be my Achilles heel." And I just thought that was one of the best quotes I've ever heard in my life.
Very good, very good. Anyway, right, okay, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so. Especially if you are on Apple Podcasts, you can give us a 5-star review on Spotify, and please do subscribe on YouTube if you don't already. And if you know, because I get Chris Denning has sent us, Chris Denning from Canada sent us a few recommendations for guests over the years, and I've been messaging out people trying to get some guests on the podcast. So, but if you have anyone that you either know yourself, you have contact with, you would like us to have on as a guest, then please do message us, reach out to us on social media or whatever, comment or message us and give us some recommendations or ideas for guests that you would like us to have on throughout 2026. And if you've got like guests that you maybe have, you've got a connection with or you've got access to in terms of communicating with them, that would be even better. That would be fantastic. And like I say, we are on next week for episode 285 with Krista Biegler, okay, from Less Stressed Life Nutrition. So we will see you next week. Thank you for that, Pete.
Thank you.
Brilliant. See you next week. Bye-bye.